Hello and welcome to MOOC on Media Law and Ethics. This presentation will give you an idea about Media Information Technology Act 2000. This act was passed in Indian Parliament during the year 2000, and I have to tell you something about the background on which the act was introduced in the country. Actually, that was in the early 1990s when internet was introduced throughout the world, and people have started using it for sending documents and receiving documents and authorizing documents using something called a digital signature and other things. So, at that time there was a need to amend all the acts so that we can have something legitimate in every sphere where internet is involved. So, this was felt by the global every country. Globally, every country was felt that we need to have some act so that we can go for a legitimate authenticated transfer of records and cash and commerce and everything through internet. At that time, the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, that is called UNCITRAL, that UNCITRAL, they came out with a model law that was in early 1996. At that time, they introduced in the General Assembly, actually in its meeting held on January 1997, they introduced a model law and they request the entire world to go for adopting this law. Whenever there is a need to enact a new law, they can take up something from the model law, or when they go for amending the existing law, they can think about using this particular law. So, that was idea given by the model law provided by the United Nations. So, the model law was given for the to take up everything that is being given in the on par with the physical thing, right. Whatever that is being given in the physical thing should be treated on par with the virtual or digital based documents. So, that was the idea behind the entire law. This was given to Indian agency called NASSCOM. Many of you might have heard about NASSCOM. NASSCOM is nothing but National Association of Software and Services Companies. It is a national body that is taking care of all the computer related policy making in the country to advise the government and to take care of these kind of things. So, NASSCOM was asked to provide to vet the law that was provided by the UN. So, NASSCOM took it up and they came out with some ideas to the government of India, so that the law can be either accepted in whole or with some partial modifications. So, the NASSCOM came out with the idea and India took it up the law, and we were come out with the specific act called Indian Information Technology Act 2000. So, Information Technology Act 2000 is a significant milestone in legitimizing and authenticating all internet based transactions and all internet based document sharing and receiving. So, the idea was to improve the commercial ability of our nation. The modern methods have to be followed in the e-commerce. So, that was the mandate of this particular act. So, existing laws were not enough to treat all kinds of the challenges posed by this particular technology. So, for recognizing this act was implemented. So, the government of India accepted in total whatever that the NASSCOM has recommended, and our law was ready. The NASSCOM also gave some suggestions to the government of India in adopting and implementing this particular law. Then the proposal law also circulated to the entire states, actually being a union of many states, that India need to consult and discuss with the other states also. So, the draft model law prepared by the NASSCOM and the UN General Assembly was circulated to all the states, and they all came out with the approval. So, the Parliament enacted the law on 9th June 2000. So, it took about 2-3 years for us to come out with our idea, and with the approval of the President, it came into effect on October 17, 2000. So, October 17 we were fully started to implement the e-commerce, transfer of records and transfer of e-signatures and digital signatures and other thing. So, major legal recognition of transaction done with the electronic exchange of data and other electronic presentations. So, this is a milestone in the Information Technology Act, particularly in the e-commerce activities. because before that bank you need to have all the records, you have to give the signature, you have to give the physical signature to transact anything. So, this is a major milestone in particularly in the exchange of commerce and other thing. Objective of the Information Technology Act was to authenticate digital signatures and to information matters requiring the legal authentication. So, this act was authenticating the digital signatures and to the transfer of records. So, further if you look into the objectives, one of the objectives was to facilitate the electronic filing of documents, filing of documents to the government and receiving documents from the government with the government agencies and departments, all the departments, and to facilitate electronic storage of data. If you want to store the data, and the data should be legitimate and data should be approved by the government agencies and including the court. So, we need to have an act. So, the object was to facilitate the electronic storage of data and give a legal sanction and also facilitate the electronic transfer of funds between banks and financial institutions. So, if you want to transfer the funds and between banks and financial institutions, that needs to be approved. So, when we started to having this, there was an order in 2015, that was on exactly on 24th of March of 2015. Supreme Court came out with a strong judgment that they are striking down 66A. Actually 66A is a very problematic act because that controlled the freedom of expression. So, the government the Supreme Court made it clear that Article 19(1)A and Article 2 are not being strictly complied with in the article section 66A of Information Technology Act 2000. So, Supreme Court struck down 66A and said that this is not in tune with the particular provisions in the freedom of expression. Then the Act, the Information Technology Act has amended Indian Penal Code of 1860. We had a Indian Penal Code way back in 1860, and that needs to be amended so that even the crimes and punishment can be implemented when something is done on the internet space. And Indian Evidence Act of 1872. All these acts were enacted during colonial times. So, we need to amend these acts, and the Bankers Books Evidence Act of 1891 and one section of the RBI Act of 1934. So, RBI Act, Bank Evidence Act and IPC and Indian Evidence Act, all these acts have been properly amended so that Information Technology Act can be enforced in full swing. If you look into the significant features of the Act approved email as a valid and a legal form of communication in India that can be duly produced before the and approved before the court of law. Email is a very important thing because when you want to have a government communication, it needs to be having a seal and a signature and a logo and printed in a government stationery. So, all these things will not be there in an email. Email will having just a text message transfer from one computer to the other computer. So, that needs to be approved. So, this particular act is very important because it authorized email as a document which can be produced even before a court of law. Companies are able to carry out e-commerce using the legal infrastructure provided by the act. Actually, if you want to use the infrastructure provided by the act, then that should be approved by the act. The act bestows legal validity and sanction of digital signatures. So, digital signatures is nothing but a codified form of authentication from one agency to the other agency that was be approved by the act. The act allows companies to become certifying authorities that may issue digital signature certificates. So, if you want to make use of digital signatures, then there should be some agency that issue and certify and authenticate both the parties, the issuing party and the approving party. So, that needs to be approved by this particular act. And the act allows the government to issue legal notifications on the internet as a first step towards e-governance. So, this is very important because when you want to go for e-governance, then the government should issue the gazette notification. The gazette notification is normally printed in the government agency, government printing industry, and that will be issued. So, if you want to have that online, then internet should be allowed to publish the government gazettes also. And the act enables companies to file any forms, any form be it income tax assessment form or seeking anything, that whatever that the government is, the agency is giving accounts or some kind of information to the government, the submission should be authenticated through online. So, application of other documents with any office, authority and body or agency owned or controlled by the government in such electronic forms as may be prescribed by the government. So, the government, whatever that is being prescribed by the government needs to be taken into account, and that needs to be approved by this particular act. So, this act is very important. And if you look into the other features of the significance, I will say that the act offers companies a statutory remedy in case of anyone should break into the company's systems of network and cause damage or copy the data, which means that if somebody is intruding into your system, computer system, and they are damaging your data, hacking, nothing but hacking, then the company should be compensated with the culprits, that the culprits who have done that, they should be asked to pay the compensation. The compensation go up to the level of rupees 1 crore. The remedy provided by the act is in the form of monetary compensation for damages for exceeding up to rupees 1 crore. This is taking care of everything. The act is important because it takes care of every aspect of implementing the e-governance and e-commerce activities. The act has extraterritorial jurisdiction to cover any offence committed outside the country by any person. So, if somebody is committing an offence sitting in somewhere and making laws to this country, he or she should be punished. So, that kind of extra territorial jurisdiction has been authorized by this particular act. And if you look at Indian Penal Code, I just mentioned about Indian Penal Code, but what kind of corrections or what kind of amendments have been made in the Indian Penal Code needs to be discussed. The Indian Penal Code was amended by inserting a word called electronic, thereby treating the electronic records and documents on par with the physical records and documents. So, the Indian Penal Code 1860 was amended to insert a word called electronic, which is on par with any physical records. Another amendment made in the act was Indian Evidence Act 1872. Under the normal circumstances, secondary evidence is not admissible in a court of law. Normally, you need primary evidence, a printout of something, or take a Xerox copy of something, or if you are producing something from the computer, then that needs to be accepted on par with the original sources. So, the electronic documents including the computer printouts which are not original or admissible in the court of law due to amendment section 65B of Indian Evidence Act. So, this particular amendment facilitated the submission of the copies or the duplication or the printout of computers, so that that can be accepted as an evidence in a court of law. So, secondary evidences were taken into account only after 2000, the particular year in October 17 the act was accepted. After that only this particular provision was inserted into the act that has been accepted. In the same way, there is another amendment that was made in the Indian Bankers Book Evidence Act 1891. Before passing of Indian Information Technology Act, a bank was supposed to produce the original ledger or the physical register or document during evidence before a court. If there is some problem with the accounting procedure or the commerce issues or some manipulation of records, then the original ledgers, vouchers and all those things needs to be produced in a court of law, then the court will be accepting that. So, this needs to be amended. After enactment of Information Technology Act, the definition part of the BBE Act stood amended as bankers books, that normally the bankers books which include the ledgers, day books, cash books, account books and all other books used in the ordinary business of a bank, whether kept in written form or a printout of data stored in a floppy disk, tape or any other form of electromagnetic data storage device, which means that earlier we had stock books, this evidence books and all the transactions that is being carried out in the bank needs to be produced in court of law, but after the enactment of this particular act, we can produce a floppy disk or printout of something, anything based on the electromagnetic devices that is being approved. Then we move on to the significance of digital signatures. Digital signatures is nothing but a codified form of authentication from one party to the other with the help of a centralized agency. When the digital signatures have been accepted and accorded with the legal accordance by this particular act, actually the controller of certifying authorities, they set up to implement the IT Act. They issued licenses to 4 significant players who can issue digital signatures. This was in 2000. At that time, there were initially 4 agencies were given to take care of implementing and issuing digital signatures. The first one is the SafeScript Limited, one company called SafeScript Limited, and the other one is National Informatics Center of Government of India, and third one is Institute for Development and Research in Banking Technology. There is an institute called Institute for Development and Research in Banking Technology, and the fourth one is TCS, the Tata Consultancy Services. All these 4 agencies were authorized and they were given authentication to issue and verify the digital signatures whoever being offered and who are being received. So, with these 4 agencies, the government started with authenticating digital signatures in the year 2000.